Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining. My name is Katie and I'm on the product marketing team. So I work closely with a lot of our customers to understand how you're using the software and get your feedback, and then work with our engineering and product teams to make sure that we're building the right features for what you're looking for. And I'm also involved with a lot of our webinars and the content that we're offering. So maybe I've seen or met some of you before as well. And today I'm here with Ernesto. He'll introduce himself as well. And we're really excited to have you here to do a deep dive into our assemblies and takeoffs feature. So before I hand it over to Ernesto, just a few questions we always get. We will share a recording of this afterwards, so don't feel like you need to take notes as you're going through. And then as you have any questions that come up, feel free to put them into that Q&A tab, and we'll do our best to answer them as we go through. Ernesto, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Ernesto, and same as Katie, I am in the product marketing team, and I help shape the product, get feedback, and one of my specialties is takeoffs. I've been doing it for, I want to say, around 4 years or so, almost. And I've watched it from its simple, just takeoffs days to now takeoffs and assemblies, which was a huge request that we kept getting, and it's brought a lot of strength to the flow, the workflow of assemblies, takeoffs, and estimates. So I'm excited to walk you through what that looks like here shortly. And at the end of this webinar, I will share some example prompts for our new Automate AI that's going to help you build assemblies. And it's separated by trade, so you can see, maybe pause the screen and look at your specific kind of takeoffs that you do and build an assembly on your account. Let's dive right in. I'm going to go ahead and give you a little bit of a rundown of the agenda. So we'll talk about assemblies and takeoffs, what they are, how they can help you. Can you hear me? Good. Okay.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. It cut off for a little bit. We'll share some use case examples. We'll go into the actual Houzz Pro demo. Well, I'll show you what they look like on your account, create some, and then we'll do a Q&A. So assemblies and takeoffs. The simplest way to think about assemblies, they are your recipe for profit, your recipe to create a takeoff and then get to an estimate. Every pro, every one of you may have a different way to build. You have your go-to process, whether it is to framing a wall, pouring a slab, painting a room. Assemblies is how you capture that exact process inside Houzz Pro. So instead of recreating your estimate from scratch every time, you just pick your recipe, and the system then will automatically add every material, labor hour, and cost behind it. It's how you turn this into a repeatable system that your whole team can use. So everybody bids differently, but once you get this right, you can give the best chance for you to do a bid like the best estimator. Takeoffs is the product, the area where you upload a construction drawing, you measure on the screen, and then you get your quantities. There is, with the assemblies, there's a manual process that will be essentially eliminated. It'll be simplified. Takeoffs by itself, it's powerful to get you a material list, but let's say, for example, you take a drywall. Let's say you're doing drywall in a room. With takeoffs now, you can get the square footage and output only the square footage to your estimate. But let's say you were doing account for how many drywall sheets you need, how much tape you're going to need, how much buckets of joint compound. You would have to create different groups individually for those measurements. With assemblies, you do it once and you're done. And I'll walk through that here in a second. This is an example of an assembly. In this case, we got a door. And for each door, you have a panel, a doorknob set, hinges, a casing. At the bottom here on the screen are different components that make up this specific door. So with the takeoffs, you would basically get your door count, and the assemblies is where you built this recipe right here that you see on the screen. This has material. You can add labor as well, so that you just get the count, and then the software does the rest for you. Assemblies can include different units of measurement, so it can be from pieces, like we saw with the door, hours for labor, linear feet, square feet, cubic yards, or even a custom unit. You can do a custom unit for gallons. Maybe you want to do buckets for specific things like paint. That's all customizable to your account. On their own, takeoffs and assemblies are powerful, but together in what I've seen, they are game changing. Takeoffs will handle the quantity accuracy, and assemblies is going to handle most of the cost accuracy. This integration makes sure that you're not missing any items, there's no guesswork, and your estimates are consistent every time you do that specific takeoff. So we'll see some use case examples. Let's say, for example, you want to build an assembly for a drywall. It's a room that's 10 foot by 12, and you have 8-foot high walls. This could be built as a flat rate. Let's say you bid and you already have, you know exactly what it's gonna cost you to make this room and drywall. You can build it so that you include all these items. So your drywall sheets, your screws, your joint compounds, drywall tape, corner beads, the glue, and your labor for hanging and finishing. So let's dive right into Houzz Pro, and we're going to walk through the creation process of an assembly. So this is the main page right here. On your account, you would hover over company and then go to my items. This is where you're going to pre-build that assembly. You can toggle by filtering just assemblies and then also categorize these. So I'm going to actually go ahead and do organization by category. So you got my doors at top, drywall, flooring. But in this case, let's create a brand new one. So top right-hand corner, you click on create new, select assembly. It's going to take you to this area right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to build that assembly for that drywall room. So we're going to call it drywall room 10 by 12 by 8. I'm going to select the category. This is drywall. And I'm just going to say in here in the description, flat rate for one room, all included. In the unit type, I'm going to select each just for one room. So each room will have all these components. And you can even upload a image. It's as simple as clicking here, upload image, selecting an image, uploading it, and all good to go. Here are your individual components or your items. So we'll start with the first one, which is the drywall sheets. I'll go ahead and create a new one. I got a quantity of 1, but let's say I know, okay, it's going to take about 17 of them. This is material, so I'm going to select pieces, or I can do each. Either one works. Type is material, and then let's say each one is $18. Done. There we go. I can add a photo if I want to. Click this icon, select an image, upload, and then we're going to select here the drywall sheets. Save. That way I know exactly what that line item is. Next, I can add a new one, another one. So we're going to do the drywall screws. Create a new one. And let's just say I know I need 2 boxes of about 500 of them. And let's say each of them cost $20. There we go. So I can start building my line items here. Or I could use Automate AI, which is something that's available across all of the assemblies. To access that, you can go to the top right-hand corner, Automate AI, and say, I want to create an assembly for a room that is 10 by 12 by 8. Include all materials and labor. Click Update Assembly. So instead of building each one, and maybe you could forget one, you have Automate AI, our excellent tool, give you a list pre-built And with one click, you can see I got my drywall sheets, screws, compound, tape, and this is assuming that I'm painting it. So I might need to maybe update my prompt up here, but it's actually giving me a lot more than I asked it for. But I'm gonna just not select some of these. I don't need insulation. I don't need the lumber. I don't need the paint or the primer, but I do need the rest. So I'm gonna click Update Assembly, and in one click, it just added all of this for me. So now I just go in here, maybe update some of the pricing, update some of the quantities, and I'm good to go. I will stop right here briefly and ask if there are any questions before I move on to the next.
No questions. If anything comes up, please put it into the Q&A tab and we'll answer it. So you can keep going.
Awesome. Let's look at a painting example. So we'll walk through two examples. The first one is going to be, let's say you quote by room. You know the total of what it's going to cost you to paint the whole room, and you measure in square footage. You're just trying to figure out, okay, what's the square footage of the room, including the ceilings, and then the assembly will do the rest of the work for you, including materials and labor. So let's go into our takeoff. We're going to go into one of the projects, and we'll take it from, I already built an assembly. So we're going to go to the takeoff, measure it, and then I'll show you the output of what that looks like. So go into my takeoff. And let's say we're going to measure this entire two bedrooms right here and get the square footage. So first, best practices for takeoffs is your scale. I always do that first, as if I can remember. A quarter of an inch equals a foot is what this plan is set at, and that's what our page scale is set at as well. But I always do a test measurement. So I'll take my length tool. I'll look for any known line right here, like this one, 8'3". Just kind of make sure that it's right on that number, and I think it is. So we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and select my assembly. It's going to be square footage, so I'll go with my rectangle. And then click this drop down. Assemblies will be to your right side. This is your normal groups for that specific takeoff, but I'm going to go ahead and select assemblies. We're going to go with paint, and we're doing it the interior room. For the square footage, I'll select the color, click add, and then I'm going to measure these rooms. So I'm just going to go ahead and do rough for speed purposes here. I got the ceiling, but now I want to add the walls as well. So I'm going to select that length, and I'm going to go back and select that same group that we just did. And then I'm going to measure the walls. It's going to be linear feet. I'm going to do it again, very rough. I could take my time and do this more accurately, but just for this demo, go ahead and do that. It's going to add it to this same group. So I got my area groups and I got my length groups. I'm going to go to my length groups, click this cube, and add the height. So 8-foot wall, 8-foot tall walls. And now the system will calculate the square footage. And now I got a total of about 1,000 just of what I measured. I could keep going and get all the walls, but we're going to move on with this number now. I can click on review and estimate. It's going to give me a summary. And then I can click on start new estimate, and you'll see the assembly kick in right here. So I got Rubber Ducky Builders, and you can see I got an assembly that's for that interior room, and it's got some paint and primer, painter's tape, masking tape, paint rollers, roller tray. It's got everything I'm going to need for this one, and it gave me the quantities based on what I had inputted for that assembly. Now these numbers, you can play around with them. If maybe this quantity is not what you thought, maybe the customer or somebody comes back to you and tells you it's actually 1,500 square feet. You can update that here, and it's going to update all the remaining numbers in that assembly. Now, one of the great things about assemblies now that we are on the estimate is, you don't have to create an estimate for your internal team and another one for external. Maybe you don't want external team that's going to receive this estimate to see all of these items. You can hide them or show them. In this case, I'm going to show them just to give you an example. You just click this eye icon and it's going to show everything. I go to preview and you can see right now it's everything is just one line item, paint. But if I show a detailed breakdown, you can show by line item. Maybe you want to send this to your vendors and say, okay, can I get all this? And then maybe for the customer, you can just give them paint. It's going to cost this amount. That's all. I'm going to stop there just to check questions.
Yes, we do have a few questions.
Okay.
One question here from Matt. Does Automate include any markup?
Automate include any markup. And we're talking about when measuring, correct? I'll ask hopefully get an answer from Matt.
I think it may be related to if you're putting a prompt into Automate.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's look at that then. Duplicate this one and we'll go back to the assembly. We actually have a few assemblies in here that we can look at for that specific question, but we'll go to the one that we did with the prompt. So we did this is one of the examples. The markup is all at 0. So no, it does not include a markup automatically.
Ernesto, if you were to put in a prompt and specify that you want a markup, right, then it should capture that.
It should, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. Yeah, but we can do some testing. But yes, you can tailor the prompts to whatever you're looking for. Maybe you're looking for pricing on a specific zip code with a 10% markup. You can put that in the prompt, and then it will give it to you.
Great. So yeah, basically, the more specific and detailed your input is, the better the output will be there.
Correct.
Okay, great. Another question here. So if, say you were creating an assembly for a hanging door, can you change the details within it, like change the type or style of door, the doorknob, without having to create a whole new assembly?
Yeah, so that's going to be based on an item. So we actually can do that. Go back to the section and show a door. So we got a single panel door right here. So yeah, I got the single panel door slab. You can go in here and just edit that information, but that's going to edit the item. So let's say it's an additional item, or maybe you couldn't source that one, you want a new one. You can simply click right here and remove it, and then add a new one if you want to. That way you keep that panel in your item. So maybe in the future, maybe let's say you were able to source it, you can then select it from the list again.
Awesome. Okay, and then one question on takeoffs. Are you able to do more of a freehand measurement if you don't want to have a set shape or a straight line there?
So I think what you're referring to is like this one, right? If you're doing a square footage where you're doing this.
Yeah.
So you can use the polygon for that. So the polygon works like the length tool where you click to start the measurement, and then this line will follow you around. So with that, you can get odd shapes room. So let's say I go to here, capture, click. Every click, it will essentially pivot the line. So now you can go to your corners, trace out your shape. And then let's say that you were to make a mistake. You're almost done with this room, but let's say you turn to the side and then click by accident. Instead of having to restart the measurement, you can hit delete or backspace on your keyboard and then continue the measurement from there. And then you can see if I click, double click, it will finish that measurement in that specific shape that I traced out.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That's all the questions for now.
All right. Well, let's move on to a flooring example. So let's say you have a scenario where your price varies and it's just going to be based on the type of material the customer selects or the zip code, maybe. In this case, we got the zip code built in here. So I built an assembly that can show you a quick way to get those numbers depending on the type of product. So I'll go back to my items and we're going to look at a flooring one. Go to assembly. There we go. Flooring. So we got a ceramic tile, and this is only installation. So let's say you're the way that you quote is, you know how much it's going to cost you to install with everything included for labor, based on the square footage of the room. So I built this ceramic tile installation only. I made sure it was clear that it's installation only, no materials. It's the unit is square footage. And then I got a flooring tile installation labor on the low end. So it's $5 per square foot. And I got a flooring tile installation on the high end. This is going to be $9 for that square foot. So based on this specific assembly, I'll go back to our takeoff right here. I'm going to delete these that we did. Start fresh. Oh, actually, I'll give you I'll start again. So let's go with that polygon again. We're going to go to bedroom number 3, and this time we're going to trace it out properly. And we'll go to the assemblies, flooring, ceramic tile only. So let's say you build the assemblies and you have somebody do the estimate. All they would need to do is you teach them how to do the measuring like this. And then with one click, they could get you an estimate that that's consistent with the way that your team estimates. It looks very professional, consistent, and is scalable. So you can get multiple people just trained on the takeoffs, and you handle the assemblies. That's one way you can set this up. I got a 221 square feet. I'm gonna go ahead and click review and estimate. We're gonna create a new estimate just with this flooring assembly. And now if I go into here, you'll see both the low end and the high end are both in here. They have 221 square feet each, and they are adjusted based on this price of $5 or $9, and are both giving me a total. And let's say I send this out to the customer as 2 options. They select, let's say, the high end. All I would need to do is just delete this low end, and then I'm done. This is my official estimate that I can send out. That's one example. The other one is just a full list of materials and labor. This specific assembly, which I'll open up right now, has a more detailed, maybe a real world where you got your materials, you got your labor built in. This is for engineered hardware flooring, and it includes everything you're going to need. So it includes the actual flooring, underlayment, transition strips, nails and fasteners, trim, flooring removal, and installation labor, all built in here. And this is based on square feet. So if we go back to our takeoff, I'm going to go back to the same one. And I'll show you a trick on just repurposing some of these groups. So we already did the measurement. So instead of deleting and redoing it, I'm just going to go to that specific group, click these 3 little dots, and I'm going to move it. You can move it to a different one. In this case, we're going to actually convert to print. Now we're gonna create a new one because I think our assemblies are not showing at the moment. So we're gonna go to flooring, select the color just to differentiate them. And then we're gonna do a polygon again, measure quickly. While you're measuring with the polygon tool, if you hold the shift key, it locks it into a straight line. So that's another tip. I'm just gonna assume that this area is gonna be hardwood floors. Now I can go to review and estimate, and we'll just leave the other one in here as well, the ceramic tile. Create a new estimate. And now I have both of these assemblies in this estimate together. The engineered hardware flooring now includes everything I need. So it includes all the material down to the unit cost. The quantities are all updated. I got all the nail fasteners that I'm going to need at 25 cents. So it adjusts everything and gives me a final total for that hardware floor. Any questions? I'll stop right here and just...
Yes, we do have 2 questions.
Okay.
One, can you just show again how to navigate to the takeoff?
Yeah. So on the takeoff, a few ways to do it. So you can go to projects, hover over here, and then select from this list. And then you'll have all of your items in this in the middle section right here, all your products, but you can also click on takeoffs and then just go to takeoff or click on the actual upload, and then it'll take you to the screen right here.
Okay, perfect. And then just one other question. Is there a way to add the information for the takeoff to an existing bid instead of creating a new one?
Existing bid, and we're talking about estimate or bids
Or
in
an
this case.
existing estimate? Yeah, I think that's the.
Gotcha. So yes, you can do it by clicking review and estimate. And instead of creating a brand new one, so you can click create estimate, duplicate and edit, and then select the existing estimate. So let's say in this case, I want to add it to the first one we did. Just select next, and then it will take the one that you have and then add it on the bottom, whatever items you're adding new. So in this
Great.
case, we had added some items right here. I think flooring, and now you got the rest of your items added onto the bottom.
Okay, perfect. And then just one other question from Melissa. Once you've done a takeoff and create the estimate, if you then make changes to the takeoff, will it be reflected in the estimate?
No, it won't. That's a great question. So they're not synced. Whenever you click that action to create a new estimate, it takes the static data, the static measurements, and then pastes them on an estimate. So they're disconnected. They're not synced, and they won't update. So you have to create a new one or go to your estimate and just update the numbers if you need to.
Okay, great. That looks like all the questions for now.
Awesome. So that was flooring. Framing. Framing is I think where we heard a lot of feedback from you all, from pros, asking for a way to get a material list. So let's say they would come to us and be like, I can measure with takeoffs, but then I still need to get a pen and paper and then do my calculations manually, or I need to take out my calculator, and then now the information is no longer on the software. I can't just send this to my lumberyard for quantities. So I'll show you how to do that here in the system. So the thought process behind the math, that's just math. Instead of trying to figure out with a calculator, you can do so beforehand, pre-built that assembly so that it accounts for one linear foot is going to be this amount of blocking, this amount of wall stud, this amount of top plate and bottom plate. And we'll start with blocking. So if my lumber piece is going to be 2 by 4 by 10 feet long, and for each foot, I need to account that in the assemblies in the system in Houzz Pro. I'll just take 1 divided by 10, and that will give me 0.1. This is what I'm going to put into the quantity field, and I'll show you an example here that's already pre-built. With a wall stud, 2 by 4 by 10, that's the size of the stud, but it's 16 on center, so I need to account for that 16-inch separation. So every 16 inches, there's a stud. To get that number, I just take 12, divide it by 16, and I get 0.75. This is what's going to go into the assembly. For top plate, I got a 2 by 4 by 20 feet, so it's 20 foot long. It's a double plate, so there's two of them. And what I'm going to do is just 1 divided by 20, get that number and times that by 2. That ends up being 0.1. And then the bottom plate, it's just a single one, so it's just 1 divided by 20, and I get 0.05. And I'll go to that assembly that I built for framing. And I got my framing right here. And this is an assembly built for the framing of the wall in a room. It's based on linear feet. So based on how big the room, it's going to adjust those numbers. And this is where I put those numbers. So if I go back to the slide, 0.1, 0.75, 0.1, 0.05. In the assembly, you would just adjust these numbers right here. So 0.1, 0.75, 0.1, and 0.05. And I'll go to a takeoff and we'll do some measurements and then show you how it gives you the quantity of how much you need for material. So Let's go back to that project. Open the takeoff. And I'm right here. And let's just say we're going to frame the exterior walls. So I'll take my length tool, click on that drop down, assemblies, framing, and then it's going to be this one right here. I'm going to select the color, go with the blue, and just start measuring the exterior walls. End it right there, and then continue right here. Then I'm just going fast for the demo. I got 111 linear feet. So I'm going to delete these so it doesn't show on this new estimate. Review an estimate, and we're going to create a new one. And for that specific framing of these walls, I'm going to go and see, okay, for blocking, I need 11 lumber pieces of 2x4x10. Wall studs, I need about 83. Top plate, I need 11, and then single bottom plate, I need 5. And if a real world scenario, I would probably just bring these numbers up to like 6. This one, I'll probably do 12, give you some margin there, give you a little more. You can adjust these numbers on the go. And I'm done. I cost about 140 in material to get these walls framed. I'll stop there just to see if there are any questions.
Yes, just one question. Can you show how you can hide portions of the assembly from the client? Like, hiding some of the material or the labor?
In the estimate or the takeoff?
Yes, in the estimate.
In the estimate, yeah. So to hide, they're automatically hidden right now, but you can just click this little icon that's visible to you, and it's going to show it for the client. And then if I go to the preview, you'll see that it's right here.
Great. And yeah, actually that preview up there, we always get questions about this. You can customize not only specific to assemblies, but for any estimate, you can really customize what you're showing to your client. So that drop down arrow, if you haven't seen it before, you can explore there.
Yep.
So obviously you're only showing what you want to your clients.
Yep, correct. You can toggle some of these off. So detailed pricing, unit price, if you want to show that as well. All right.
Okay, great. No more questions right now.
All right. And then a little bit more of a, it's simple. I mean, it's the same math. It's just, let's say you weren't sure if you were going to use lumber pieces that are 16 foot, 20 foot, or 20, depending on the wall length. For wall plates, bottom plates, and top plates, the longer the better. So in this example, what I did is I built an assembly that has those 3 options, and you can just pick from the list after you get to the estimate. So this is again for framing. So we'll go to that assembly. So got framing, and I got just different options for bottom plates. So there's special lumber pieces that are pressure treated. So I got 2x4x16, 16 foot long, 2x4x20, it's just 20 foot long, and then a 24 foot long one. And I did the math, and I just put those in here, which is here on this slide. So 1 divided by 16 on the 16 footer, 1 divided by 20 on the 20, and 1 divided by 20, 24 will get you those numbers. If I go back here, hopefully that's easy. You can essentially, like we did with the high end and low end flooring, you can get to your estimate and just delete the ones that you don't need and leave the one that you do. And that's just for speed purposes. And now I put in on here some prompts. So some examples of what you can use to use the automated AI. And I'll go back to the assemblies, top right hand corner whenever you're creating an assembly. Essentially what you would type in here to output a list that you can add to your assemblies. So I did it by trade. So you got your painting, framing, drywall, flooring. You can just tell that create an interior painting assembly for 1,000 square foot wall, and you can tell it what to include or what not to include. So primer, 2 coats of finished paint, tape, plastic sheeting, rollers, brushes, and the labor hours. In here, you can also put your zip code. So it'll give you like averages, and then you can adjust from there. So the variant prompt, so what you can change is mainly this number, 1,000 square feet. Maybe it's a 2,000 square feet home. You would just change this to 200 and then use square footage as the unit price, and then go from there for all your components. Framing, you can do it by room, just like we saw. It's created a framing assembly for one 10 by 12 room, 8-foot tall walls. Include the wall studs, top and bottom plates, headers, nails, laver, and for cutting, layout, and assembly. And the variable is just going to be the linear feet or maybe your room size. For drywall, um, create a drywall installation assembly for X amount of square feet of this type of drywall. Include all your components. The AI will do that for you. And flooring, similar, just square footage with specific details of your project. Windows and doors, you can do that for windows and doors as well. Create an assembly for installing a specific vinyl window, flashing, tape, fasteners, insulation, everything included. You got electrical, plumbing, and HVAC, and this is going to be this is recorded, so you can go back to the recording if you wish and just pause this, and maybe just if you want to copy paste this and try it out for yourself, you can do so. And then finally, we got the roofing, finished carpentry, exterior siding, and the concrete foundations as well. I'll stop here. Just leave this on the screen. Let's see if there are any questions.
Great. No other questions.
Awesome. I got one final one that you can use for a general remodel. So let's say you're doing an assembly for a 10 by 10 kitchen. You wanted to include demolition. You wanted it to include your framing, drywall, cabinets, countertops, plumbing, and electrical. And then you ask the automated AI to break out materials and labors by face. You can put that into the automated AI and then get an assembly output from that. So if you're doing consistently similar work, you can automate it through assemblies right here.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Ernesto. Any other questions, feel free to reach out to us or to our team.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot. Bye.